We hope everyone's having a fantastic week. We get a number of phone calls on a regular basis asking questions about records requests and whether or not those requests are actually audits. And so we usually break down the conversation based on the number of different patients that are being requested. And here's what we found. First of all, if we're talking about prepayment audits, in other words, where they're requesting medical records in advance of payment, that's not necessarily an audit, it's a record review to determine medical necessity prior to payment. So we'll set those aside. Today we're really going to focus on post-payment audits. So first of all, when you get those medical records requests, if it's like one or two at a time, what you're going to find is many times those probably, and again I can't speak broadly, but most likely those are going to be what we call kind of a risk pool analysis audits. In other words, you're not the one being audited in those particular instances most of the time. Instead, what that is an audit on the risk pool that the insurance companies are reporting to the federal government. And then in those cases, they're actually required to prove it off with a third-party reviewer that reviews those particular patients or random patients to determine, is the risk pool that they've said that they have actually accurate. Those aren't as risky, and of course now if you're doing something wrong or you have flagrant problems in your documentation, then of course that can spark another audit. But those particular audits are more dealing with the insurance company being audited and not you. Now, once we start getting to more, like if you get 3 at a time, that's a really, really low-level audit, and that may be, who knows what it is. But what you can do is you can review those particular records that you get and see if there's something common whenever it's 3. Is there a common happening? In other words, these are the only patients that I have done, allergy testing, or these are the only 3 patients that I've ordered orthotics on, or whatever random thing it may be, but look for what is common with those particular 3 patients. Now, if you're getting records requests that are greater than that, and you'll see typically 2 different records requests, it could be 10 patients or 30 patients. That's what we typically see. 10 patients, they believe that they have seen something in your billing that is not necessarily or consistent, or that they question. In those cases, they're looking to find out if there is a common issue. Now, in those cases, and in the case of 30, and let me cover 30 really quick. Now, if you're getting a 30 record request, I can pretty much assure you this, that they know that you are doing something incorrect, or at least they're pretty certain that you are doing something incorrect. And in the 30 records request, what they're doing is they're looking to make a full determination on your entire population. In other words, they'll take 30 records, they'll review all those records, they'll determine what portion of your billing did not meet medical necessity requirements, did not meet the documentation requirements that they have, did not meet their medical policy, etc. And then they will extrapolate that, or they will apply those percentages against your entire patient population. And then they'll demand a certain payment back from you. So when we're talking about 3 is a kind of that questionable realm. 10 and 30, those are definitive, full-fledged audits. And that is certain. You can rest assured. Now, are you guilty? Never. I mean, that's why they're doing the audit. They're determining if you are guilty, or at least that they can make that assertion. They can make that claim, and then from that, then they'll make a demand. So, what are your steps that you can do when you get those requests, those larger requests? One is, like I mentioned on the 3-person audit, look for the things that the patients may have in common. What do those patients have that maybe the rest of your population base does not have? Now, if you're getting 30 records requests, that's a different ballgame. Again, they've seen something that's consistent across your entire population of patients, and in those cases, then again, that's a different style of audit. The 10, there could be something in common. 3, most definitively. Now, next is you want to call your malpractice carrier. You want to find out if you have audit defense coverage. Some malpractice carriers actually have an allotment to help you if you do have a massive audit that is done against you, or a larger recoupment. They have money in there to assist you with the defense. Now, of course, not with the repayment, but with the defense, the attorney's fees, etc., that are associated with that style of an audit. So you can check and see what your coverage, so that you're fully aware. The other thing you can do is make sure that you comply. You want to make sure that you comply, and that you return the medical records in a timely fashion and in the time that they have asked you to do that. Lastly, what you may want to do, if you're in a 30 record request, certainly you want to make sure that you contact an attorney. That one you want to do in advance, because you want to make sure that every I is dotted, every T is crossed. We're talking about your livelihood here, and we want to make sure that you put your best foot forward. 10 is in that area where you could call an attorney or not. It really is up to you. I would never discourage you from calling an attorney. In fact, typically I would encourage you to, but I know that some questions exist there as far as that 10 record request and whether or not to have an attorney in advance. I will tell you though, on the 30, definitively make sure that you have an attorney. Hopefully it helps you out with at least understanding the breadth of the different types of post-payment audits you may receive, or records requests that you may receive in your office, and at least give you a place to start as you go through that audit process. We'll catch you next week. Thank you very much.